Hi everyone, good afternoon, good day, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to another episode of the Outreachy Coffee Chat. Omotola Omotayo Eunice, one of the Outreachy organizers, and I work with Outreachy as a community manager. So we used to have several series of this kind of coffee chat, and today's coffee chat, once again, will be focused on the Outreachy contribution stage, which is starting very soon. So let me give like a background for those that are just joining us for the first time. So if you're just joining us or you come across this video later, Outreachy is a remote internship paid opportunity. We provide fully remote. Interns get to work with their mentors who are also working remotely on any open source and open science projects. It's a 3 month internship program, and interns are paid 7,000 USD. It's an empowerment opportunity because you learn, your mentors will coach you, and you also stand a chance to like work on big projects, contribute to projects from anywhere you're staying from, regardless of your background. Today, or this period, we have the contribution stage for the May 2024 internship, which is coming soon. The contribution stage is starting very soon. The initial application just ended, and the contribution stage is starting in a few weeks. And today we have with us some special persons, right? We have folks who have gone through the Outreachy program and folks who are currently part of the program. So maybe I didn't mention this. The program runs twice a year. We have the May cohort and we have the December cohort. So I'm going to be bringing on stage our guest for today. To our viewers that are joining us online, thank you so much for joining us once again. Please tell us in the comments where you're joining us from. I'm actually joining this live chat from Nigeria. And I know a lot of persons are joining us from everywhere around the world. So I'm going to pass the mic to our guest for today. And they're going to be introducing themselves one after the other. So I'm going to start with Precious, and Precious will pass the mic to the next person. Hi, Precious.
Hello. Hi, my name is Precious. I was a past in Outreachy intern for the 2022 cohort. I think it was May to August, and I am a technical writer. Oh, and I'm
Okay,
also
so
saying
Precious,
I'm from.
yeah,
I
and
think I forgot that
yes,
part.
to the next person.
All right, so Shakira, can you hear me? I'm passing the mic to you.
All right. Thanks, Precious. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. I am Shakira Dagiri Serewaji, currently working as a QA engineer intern with Ushahidi. I'm in the December 2023 to March 2024 cohort. Thank you. Passing the mantle on to John.
Thank you, Shakira. Hi, everyone. My name is John Pangas. I'm currently in Kampala, Uganda, and I'm an Outreachy December 2023 intern. I work with Mozilla Firefox on the amazing Bug open source project. Um, Thank you, Shakira, for passing the mic on to me, and I will pass it on to our dear colleague, Edgar. Thank you.
Hi, Waji, you're muted.
Oops, I'm sorry. Hi everyone. How's it going? My name is Wajuno, or you can call me Waji from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a data scientist and an outreachy intern in the December 2023 to March 2024 internship cohort.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. As you can see, we have technical writer, QA engineer, data scientist, and ML engineer. So I think that already answers some questions that some of our viewers might have about who can contribute, who can be part of Outreachy. And very soon, during the discussion, they're going to be telling us more about where they came in, contribute, a project they contributed to, and to, and so on and so forth. So we'll start with you, Waji. You're going to tell us more about your project and your community. But before we go on, let's make this fun. Today is International Mother's Language Day. I don't want us to say any phrase, just to say hi to our viewers in your local language. I'm going to start in my own local language, which is Yoruba. For those that are just joining, the contest or goal is Outreachy is a diverse program. We have folks coming from different backgrounds, and the good thing is everybody is working together. The community is so strong, contains diverse people regardless of their background and language, and we just want to acknowledge that and say welcome to Outreachy channel. So please feel free to just drop that in the comments as well for folks that are joining us. In my language, we'll say Ekabo si ori channel. I didn't think that well, but I tried. Okay, so I'll pass it to Precious.
Right, so I'll say Ndewo. So it's like welcome, hi everybody. So yeah, Ndewo.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm passing the mic
Okay,
to
Shakira.
Shakira.
Okay, think I'll say okay. I've gotten a blank. Tusaji so kuvalava channel ya Outreachy.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Okay.
I pass
Hi,
it on to
John.
John.
Thank you, Shakira. I will use the local language which is in the central region here where we're in Kampala. I will also say Jebareko, welcome. And yeah, I think that would be how to say it. I pass over the mic to Edgar.
Well, I'm partly Yoruba, so I'll go with Yoruba. Ekabo.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this is just to say, regardless of us coming together to improve open source and open science projects, to improve the free and open source ecosystem in general by providing solution, we also did not forget where we are coming from. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on with what we came here to do, right? So please tell us more about your community and the projects you worked on during your period. Please, if you have any chats, I can see some person replying us in the comments. Please, thank you for joining. Thank you for saying that in your local language, whatever you said. Thank you so much. So please drop your questions if you have any. I'm going to start with Waji. Tell us more about your community and your projects. And please don't forget to pass the mic to the next person.
Okay, so I'm currently interning with Moja Global Community, and Moja Global Community is a not-for-profit community with a goal to develop software for climate change mitigation, land use planning, and also policy analysis. My project is about charting the path to sustainability, integrating land sector data to Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. And this project focuses on analyzing geospatial data sets and extracting actionable insights from these data sets, and then getting those actionable insights and mapping them, the findings I've gotten to relevant Sustainable Development Goals. That's in simple things. That's what my project is about. I'm passing the baton to Precious, I guess.
Hi, so I work with the Chaos project. Chaos is short for Community Health Analytics in open source software. And under Chaos, there are like two different tools. There's Augur and there's Grimo Labs. I worked on the documentation for Augur. And Augur is a data collection tool that collects like measure metrics. So if you're it checks how healthy your open source community is, right? What are contributions like? Is it welcoming to newcomers? Are first time contributors able to find their way around the community? Basically, just like it's like the health of your community. And so I worked on making the contribution, the documentation more diverse and inclusive for people or like folks from different places and experience levels to be able to understand what we are about and how to like get into the community and use the tool. So because like chaos is very huge on DEI, which is like diversity, equity, and inclusion, It's just very important that whatever it is that we put out to the general public is something that various demographics can use, right? So I'm passing the mic to Shakira.
All right, thanks, Precious. So I am currently working as an intern with Ushahidi. Ushahidi is a platform that empowers people through citizen-generated data to develop solutions that help with communities. So they look at different things like good governance, humanitarian or disaster relief. They look at human rights protection, climate change, and all that. And it has been really instrumental to various people in different parts of the world. And I'm really excited that I'm on this project, on this in this organization at the moment. And the project I'm currently working on is to create end-to-end tests for the platform, since we were shifting from just having manual testing for the application, and it is a notch higher to go to end-to-end tests, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I pass on the mic to John.
Thank you, Shakira. Hi everyone once again. So my community is the wonderful Mozilla community, and Mozilla really consists of two organizations. There's the Mozilla Corporation, which is owned by the non-profit Mozilla Foundation, and if you guess it right, Mozilla is the company behind Firefox, the famous browser most of you may know or even use. And at the core of Mozilla exists to make the internet healthier and a happier place for everyone. Coming to my project, which is Bugbug. Bugbug is a project that aims at leveraging machine learning to aid software engineering tasks. So at Bugbug, we design models that are integrated into Bugzilla. Bugzilla is Mozilla's issue tracker for products like Firefox, Thunderbird. And we develop each of these models to perform a specific task on this range of products. So if you ever see a bug on Mozilla Firefox, and you could report it on Bugzilla, and there are a couple of machine learning models that work behind the scenes to take actions on these bugs. So for the cohort of December, which I was in, we were developing a model to tag accessibility and performance related bugs on Bugzilla. It's a pretty interesting project, especially with AI and machine learning rising everywhere. And Outreachy came at the most perfect time for me and for my co-intern Promise. And there's so much we have learned. There's so many wonderful people we have met at Mozilla, including my mentor Suhaib and other fellow colleagues at Mozilla. It's truly been one to cherish for long. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was beautifully done. And from you talking about your projects and the community you work with, I can see. I also acknowledge that everybody worked on very beautiful, awesome project that providing solutions to everyone, open to everyone to make use of. Right. Thank you so much for that. And because we are talking about Outreachy program, especially for folks that are going into the contribution stage. A lot of folks have sent us here, they've asked questions around, do I need to have an experience contributing to projects, open source projects before my application, before the contribution stage? So I'm going to ask you, and I'm expecting you to answer that based on your own experience. Do you have any experience contributing to open source before coming into Outreachy? And if you don't have any experience, what are some steps that you took to prepare you for the Outreachy contribution period during your time? So let's start with John, and you don't have to pass the mic this time around. Just give us the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Motola. So before my outreach internship, I had some experience in open source. I think I started in 2022 when I made my first contribution, which was to Scikit-learn. And it came at a time when I was still studying. I was in my last years of uni. So I sort of had this background that helped me kickstart and understand what open source is really and the tools. And I wanted to contribute for 6 months before I actually came across my current project, Bagbag. Uh, though I did not really start on Bagbag immediately, I went on to just continue following up with the projects and how it integrates with Outreachy. So if with that, I could still also answer the question which preparatory steps someone can take, whether for a first timer or for a seasoned contributor. The most basic tools you'll need for open source are Git and GitHub. I feel almost all Outreachy projects require you to have a strong understanding of that. And you don't read for Outreachy projects, they span across a wide variety of skills. So you don't necessarily have to have, let me say, only machine learning, or it could span anything to even document contributions. So the steps I would give in summary would be learn the basic tools, which are Git and GitHub, interact with some of the maintainers of prominent open source projects just to understand how the workflow is, how they work, how they share information with each other. That could also help you in your internship. And also, another one, which is a simple one, would be to interact with previous outreach interns. They could tell you how you could prepare for open source and, most importantly, outreach. There's power in learning from everyone else. So it would be really great for you to have that prior knowledge before you start the contribution phase. Yeah. Thank you, Omoto.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Precious, I would like you to answer this. Do you also have experience contributing to open source at all? And if not, what did you do?
All right. So before I started, I applied for Outreachy. I did this HNG internship the year before. It's like this yearly internship that helps you like it's in stages, 10 weeks, and you have to like make code contribution, build a project, that kind of thing. So I didn't know that what we did was open source contributions at the time, right? And it was like when I was filling in for Outreachy, I think there's a slot that asks if you've had open source contribution before. And then I started asking around and they're like, oh, you remember that stuff you did then? That's open source contributions. So yeah, that was how I knew that, oh, I'd actually done open source contributions before. But what I would say is if you've never had an open source contribution, you've never done one before, like John mentioned, it helps to get familiar with the tools, mostly because when you get into the contribution phase, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So knowing the basics helps you, right? So you should know how to use Git, you should know how to use GitHub at least. And like he also mentioned, if you can, try to learn how to interact in communities, you understand, because you might get very confused and you probably not know who do I ask a question, how do I speak, and depending on the kind of project you get introduced to, there might be a lot of people. So it's very good for you to also know how to like speak in communities and structure your questions in a way that if somebody actually wants to help you, they can know where to start without having too much confusion. So yeah, I think the basics basically get used to the tools, Git and GitHub at the very least. Learn how to interact in communities if you've never had a previous experience with that before. And hopefully during this period where you've been waiting since applying and trying to get feedback on whether you got into the contribution phase or not, you've been able to check um, past communities that probably participated in Outreachy, and then you can just ask around and know what it's like for the community. How do they handle their interns? It just helps you be prepared, so you're not starting entirely from scratch when you get into the contribution phase.
Awesome. I think Precious answers already touched the part of sometimes some persons might have contributed to the project, open source projects outside of the outreach program, and they are not even sure. And whatever the case is on your own end, it is also good for you to prepare before the contribution stage. And I always tell this story about folks who made it into the contribution stage and probably did not make it into the internship stage, but because of the experience they've gathered during the contribution stage, they were able to continue contributing to open source community, the ecosystem, and they tried the internship again, or also continue contributing even that side of Outreachy. So thank you so much, Precious. Precious mentioned that you should and need to be very active. I don't know if that is Precious or Joy, pardon me. Very active within the community. You should leverage on past interns, people who have gone through this process, people who have experience contributing to the ecosystem. And most importantly, John mentioned that there are some tools, common tools, that you need to have knowledge about when you want to contribute to open source. Those are very good tips. I don't know if Waji or Shakira wants to add. I need somebody who have not contributed to open source before. Is that Waji? You're muted. You're trying to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, my experience before the internship, my experience contributing to open source was over an extensive period of time was the contribution phase. I've not contributed to open source over a long period of time, just like the contribution phase. Although I had made a first contribution before, a first timer contribution, something I tag as a significant first timer contribution. And it was a contribution by an individual that was tailored for beginners like myself to facilitate entry into open source. That was one step I took. And it was a journey for me into open source. Another thing was, additionally, I joined Codex.cafe, which is a pro bono open source mentorship program. And so this formative experience is laid like the foundation for me into open source and my subsequent contributions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for adding that. We won't mind if during the course of the chat you drop links to the resources you used, tools you think applicants should also check. And I know on the Outreachy applicant documentation page, we have suggestions of how you can start contributing to open source, things you should do, which I will encourage for applicants to. The Outreachy documentation is actually knowledge packed. Please go through it if you have not. Yeah. So the next question I'm going to ask will be I'll direct that to Shakira. Shakira, during your contribution stage, how many projects? Before I ask this question, let me give like a background. When the contribution stage is announced on the Outreachy website, that is for applicants who have already registered, who have already submitted their initial application, and who successfully have passed the initial application stage. You are going to see the list of available projects for the cohort you are applying for. So this list of projects have different description, skills level, experience level, and you are in charge of checking through this project to pick the one that actually resonates with you more, the one you know you have the experience or skills that is required. So in your case, Shakira, I always love to ask how did the project for you, but I'm going to ask first that how many projects did you contribute to in total? Because that is one question we used to get. And yeah, let's start with that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Omotola. So I looked at 3 projects initially. So I joined the contribution stage with a goal in mind, and my goal was to look for projects that were in line with product management. So I was able to find a project in line with that. But curiosity, that one that killed a cat, took me to check out other products. And I was interested in bioconductor as well as Ushahidi. Then looking through, I quickly realized that I needed like some biology related things with bioconductor. So I'm like, okay, let me just calm myself down. And then with Ushahidi, when I read the summary, it just spiked this interest. And when they were when they were going to like start this new project on end-to-end tests, it's not like I had worked with end-to-end tests before, but I knew JavaScript. So I'm like, let me take up this challenge. Yeah. And I continued working on the product management project as well as the quality assurance engineer project, like the end-to-end tests. I worked on both of them and I delivered on both of them. That means I went up to like the last stage, but it started off from 3 and I zeroed down to 2 because what I wanted was to give it my best. So that's why I zeroed down my focus. And like I think it was John and Precious, they talked about speaking to past interns. I spoke to past interns, and this is what they were recommending. You either choose 1 or 2 projects and give it your best, not like 10, and then you're just partially like contributing to like everything. So yeah, that's how I went through like that stage initially and the choosing of the projects. Yeah.
Awesome. Even though I have a question for you, but I love something. I'll come back to the question. I love something you said about you check through, you know what you have, the skills you have, and what you're looking for. Yes, you want to contribute to a project you have not been part of before, but you know the skills that you've acquired, the skills you're coming with. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be perfect technically. That is not what we are talking about, but you already know where your strength lies, right? Maybe, oh, I'm looking for documentation projects, I'm looking for data science project, or anything that resonates with you. And something Shakira mentioned that everybody should take note of was that even though she has a project in mind she wants to contribute to, she read the requirements and the instruction of the project, and she feel like, am I sure to do this? But when she read the other project, something sparked. That is it. You will know the project that resonates with you, and this will help you on days when you feel like, oh, I'm tired. I don't know what else to do. But because this project already resonates with you, like you can talk passionately about the project, you are ready to go lengths to contribute to the project. It's going to help you. So that's like an in. Thank you so much for adding to that. So let's move on to Waji. And I'm going to ask Waji a two-in-one question. How many projects did you contribute to in like summary? And why did you pick the projects? Yes, let's go with the two first.
Okay, so I'll start this way. I actually contributed to 3 projects in 3 different communities. However, I only submitted a final application for 1 project. The first community, it was a one-time contribution. For the second community, I made about 2 to 3 contributions. But the third one, it was where I made multiple contributions. And why I chose that community was first of alignment with my skill set. Although it was my first time of working on geospatial analysis, but every other skill set matched, like Python and all of those things. That was one. The second thing was I had the intention to participate in a hackathon after the contribution phase, and that involved me having knowledge of geospatial analysis. So I felt that, okay, if I really, really want to go for this hackathon, then this is the perfect opportunity to learn the geospatial analysis and get well knowledgeable in it. So that was it for me.
Thank you so much for
Can you hear
sharing
me?
that. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay.
And you sparked another question actually. So you mentioned that it's okay. It's okay to see, oh, I have strengths in this project, I have strengths in this project. But I think along the way, or from the explanation you gave, you mentioned that you contributed once to the project, 2 times to other projects, and contributions to other projects. So can you tell us why you have multiple contributions to the last project, and what do you define as being making valuable contribution? Because to me, you actually make valuable contribution to the third project.
Okay, yeah. First off, you asked me why did I make multiple contributions. Is that what you said? My network was going off.
Okay, I mentioned that you contributed
Can you hear
to
me?
3 projects.
Yes.
Yes. So I wanted you to like give us insight to why the last project has multiple contribution, and what can you define as valuable contribution.
Okay, so like I earlier said, I said that first of why I did multiple contributions for that was the alignment to my skill set and the hackathon I wanted to participate in. I intended to participate in after the contribution phase, which had involvement in geospatial analysis. And so if I wanted to do that, I needed to be knowledgeable into spatial analysis, and that was what kept making me having multiple contributions to this particular project. And then also, what I would term as making valuable contributions. One is what I did was I had to ask intelligent questions for my mentors as much as possible. I also asked questions too from fellow contributors like myself. Where I needed clarity, I sought clarity. When something was confusing or I wasn't too sure about the manner to approach a particular task, I sought clarity on that. I also, one other thing too that also made me make valuable contributions was watching tutorials. Like I said earlier, it was my first time of working on geospatial analysis, so there was a lot of YouTube tutorials that I took. I was also reading a lot of articles, any article I come across on geospatial analysis, because that was the challenging part for me since it was something I was new to. So I read them, I watched videos, and that helped me to make valuable contributions multiple times. And then also I had a goal to complete all my tasks. So that was one thing that helped me to make multiple contributions too. So after one task, I record my contribution. After another, record the contributions, and that was it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing more insights on that. So I'm going to throw this next question to Precious. There is a question which I will answer a bit, but I want you to like answer from your perspective as well. This person is actually a product designer asking how the contribution phase is going to be for a product designer. You know where you're coming from, you know the skills you have, so you use that to enter the contribution stage. The contribution stage as a designer, the project will actually list what they want you to do. The instructions are there, and you come with your own skills, your knowledge as a designer to make the contribution. So let's push that to Precious, being a technical writer. So, Precious, how was the contribution stage like for you, and how did you ensure you make valuable contribution as a technical writer?
Right. So obviously, before you get into design and deciding you want to like contribute from the product design angle, you have to make sure the projects you're contributing to actually wants your contribution, right? So that's one. Another thing is, so this is very important. Most of the times, the programs or the communities have already created a guideline for you as an Outreachy intern, right? And so because you're overwhelmed, it can make you feel, oh my God, there's a lot to do. And you might end up doing outside what has been given to you as a guideline. So the first thing that I actually tell people is make sure you go to the guideline. That's the first thing to do. Most of what you need is already there. And most of the times, they've already given you what they need you to do to get past the contribution phase, right? So it's important to do that tax first, and then anything else you do is extra. So if you're a designer and you're not sure what it is that you want to do, there's a very high possibility that what you need to do is already in the guideline. So first of all, do those tasks first. And then when you're done doing the tasks, if you now look around the community, obviously they'll probably have issues on their GitHub repo or whatever tool that they list the issues on, and then you can look for the ones that are related to your skill set and start to contribute. And as you're contributing, you add them as part of the contributions you made, and also let your mentor know that, oh, I saw this issue, this is what I'm currently working on. It does two things for you. One, it helps you know if sometimes maybe somebody might be assigned to doing it and it's not like written on the GitHub repo. It helps you know, okay, this is probably who you should meet to help you out with it, or is somebody that's already currently working on it. And it also helps them know that, oh, this person is actually doing this, right? Because there are a lot of people that will join the community. So it's kind of useful for you to like let your mentors know what you're working on, and so that they can keep track of your progress. They can't keep track of everybody, but like if you reach out to them, then they can know that, okay, this person is here and this is what they're working on, and if you need help, they can easily help you, right? So if you're a product designer and you don't know how to contribute using your skill set, first of all, make sure that you've gone through the guidelines and you know the tasks that has been written out for you to do. And when you're done doing that, like it's very important for you to do that first, because if you don't do that and you go out and do a lot of things, it's like doing a lot of things that are important, but it's not what is necessary for you to get past this phase, right? So make sure you do that first. and then you can go do extra things when you're done, like performing that task.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Precious. I'm going to echo what Precious just said in another word. I'm going to say you should focus on making quality contribution over quantity contribution. This is very important. One contribution that makes a lot of sense over all contribution makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but focus on quality contribution over quantity contribution. Outreachy expects it to make at least one contribution, at least one contribution, but we want you to focus your energy. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to like be part of all projects, contributing to all parts of all projects. So we have a question here, and that question is directed to Shakira. Someone wants you to share more light on your experience. And this is the question, especially for someone who are in both code and non-code, but leads towards non-code. So I think you should just from your own point of view, explain, and I think you already explained why you picked your projects. So maybe you want to explain the contribution stage itself and how you ensure to also make valuable quality contributions.
All right, thank you. And Progress, thank you for the question. Okay, so my experience with Ushahidi, I gave the summary. I looked through the summary of everything and the project to work on Ushahidi. So I had to ramp up on whatever was written as the skill, like what we are going to use. They listed Cypress, JavaScript. I already had a knowledge on that. Sorry about the noise. Had knowledge on JavaScript, and then Cypress, I had to just go through the documentation and ramp up on everything. They needed like just basic, not basic, but the technical skills. So with Ushahidi, I went straight to the channel because they provide everything, a link to the community. So when you join the community, you are able to find more information. They even like on the Outreachy website, like Omotola said, there is literally everything. They are providing you the link to the GitHub repo that you're going to contribute to, like every single thing. So you just have to utilize that and read through like all that. So when I went to the community page, I asked questions when I was stuck while setting up the project. I got stuck for a while. I can't say it took like a few hours. It took a while, but the community was so helpful. Like people were just out there, fellow interns, people in the contribution stage, as well as people in the community were helping out, asking questions. The key highlight there was asking clear questions and making sure that I don't just ask, help me with X, but I ask, help me with X. I have tried this and it has failed, but could you help me in this way? So I am giving this clear path that could help this community member to unblock me and I move forward. So thereafter, after the community helped out and I was able to set up my project, I started like picking up tasks, asking questions where I was stuck. After the first ticket was merged in, then I got more confidence, like contributing to more things. And I knew that I don't have to die alone. If I'm stuck, I just reach out to the mentor or to people in the community. So that really, really helped me out. And I was like, that's what I did basically. And yeah, for the question about the non-code, hopefully that answers the experience with Ushahidi. So that's what I did. And also what I left out was communicating about my progress like all the time and reaching out to my mentor. Communicating is really key, and making whatever I'm doing visible, helping different community members that are just joining, giving them the pointers that I got when I got stuck. So that's like, I don't keep all the knowledge to myself, but rather sharing this knowledge with also different people when they are stuck. Yeah, that really helped me even like to cement like my knowledge on like the code base and everything. So for the non-code, that was the project about product management, and Precious highlighted this so well. Like their guidelines on this project, we were given step-by-step guidelines on what to do. We had 2 contributions. There were steps on what to do exactly. So if you are more inclined to something that is no code, it is best that you follow those guidelines, because for those projects, you might not have a GitHub repository. You just need to write a Google document or write a blog about it or something like that. You just have to follow the instructions that have been put by the community members, and reach out to your mentor in case you have any questions, because they are always available to help. So that's how I juggled the code and no code projects while in the contribution stage. Hope that answers your question.
That's
Yeah.
superb.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shakira. We can see in the comments people are agreeing to what you're saying. And I also just want to emphasize that all the insights we are sharing here is not just for QA engineers, ML engineers, technical writer, or data scientists. Please use pick all these insights and use that in your own chosen field. You can replicate the same thing in your own chosen field. It's not just for the folks that are here. Our guests are their own specified career path, and that is why they are talking from their own experience. They want you to learn from their own experience. Shakira already started like on the ground when it comes to community, because we've been talking about contributing as a data contributing from your own specified career paths, the technical part and the non-technical parts. And it goes beyond the number of contribution that you make, just like we mentioned. Outreachy has always emphasized on the fact that you need to communicate, you need to work with your community members. And sometimes some folks will say, oh, I think I can do this very well, or I'm an expert in this field, or Shakira has already shared how she did her own. I think I can just replicate the same and just on my own, just contributes to the project. But it goes beyond that. I want to ask now, and I'm going to ask Waji, because Waji already mentioned, after Waji, I'm going back to John. Waji already mentioned how she already knew that she wants to contribute to this project because she's preparing for an hackathon. So since you already know what you want to contribute to, were you working alone, like solo, or were you working with the community, the open source community that you contribute to?
Okay, so I interacted with the community as much as possible. When I had an idea on what I wanted to do on a particular task, I shared it on the community, so with other contributors like myself. I also encourage fellow contributors to share their own ideas on the particular task to perform. That was one. Another thing too was whenever I was also confused, like I stated earlier, I sought clarity from my mentors. I also sought clarity from my fellow contributors. All were done publicly. I think almost every day I communicated or interacted in one form or the other, either in form of giving insight on a particular task or asking questions. I think it was only on Sundays probably that I didn't interact with the community. That was one. Another thing was from time to time, I also encourage contributors who had challenges with a particular task. If you were facing something, okay, you've not done this, and maybe other people or majority of the people in the majority of the contributors in the community had maybe scaled up to or gone past task one. I encourage them to share whatever struggle, and I'll use the word voice out, quote and unquote, to share it on the group so that myself and other fellow contributors too, who have progressed to other tasks, would actually see whatever we could do to help, or to help them to the best of our ability. And another thing why I was doing this publicly was so that other people too could learn from my questions, other people could learn from whatever solution it was that I was offering for how somebody should approach a particular task, or whatever solution or whatever manner of approach I used to approach my own task. That was one. Another thing was after every task, I posted, because my contributions were hosted on my GitHub portfolio, so GitHub rather, repo. So after every task, I posted links to my contributions publicly, although this was done on the direction of my mentor. Our mentor asked us that after every task, we post the link to our contributions on the group page. So as much as possible, I interacted almost every day. Almost every day.
Awesome. So before I move over to John's side, I also want to highlight that once you go through the list of projects that Outreachy has during your own contribution period, the community or the project will state what the next steps would be for you. So the next step might be after you pick the project, they ask you to join their community or reach out to the mentor or join a dedicated channel in their community where they have Outreachy applicants, past interns, and other folks in the community who are ready to support you as an Outreachy applicant. Please note that. So it's not just about you probably trying to bombard your mentor with emails. There are sets of instructions, next step, which most community will ask you to join a dedicated space in their community so that you can collaborate, relate, or even read the general messages that they are sending to the applicants for that course. And on these channels, we used to have a lot of folks there who are ready to like guide you through. It's very important. John, do you want to add some things to this question? You are muted, John.
Sorry. So in the contribution phase, I think the most essential skill I would tell anyone is good preparation, which means for someone who the most challenges that interns face is adapting to the project. Some of these projects have a lot of or they are very large code bases, and I think for someone who's new to open source, or this would be your first time contributing, trying to understand the project may be one of the things that really overwhelm you at a certain time or feel tricky. So what I did before was I tried to, before even the contribution phase started, I tried to get comfortable with some of the projects. There are already, I believe, some projects which have been published. So you could go through and try to get a clear understanding, maybe join their communities if so. It's not really about you getting in as an outreach intern. I mean, also it's about growing the love for open source. So you never know that what you could learn before you start the contribution phase could help you when the contribution phase actually begins. So for anyone who's going through, maybe it's your first time, or maybe you're totally new to everything that's going on, I think communication is the thing that drives most of these open source projects. Communication and the ability to really express yourself that I'm a newcomer and I need help on this. There are always people there ready to help you. I don't know if that has helped answer it, Omotola.
Of course, that answered the question. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we've been talking about contribute, voice out, make use of the power of community. A lot of folks are out there who are ready to help you. These are the things you should do before. But we must also admit that it's not always perfect. Like, yes, you know what you want to do. Yes, you want to contribute. But because there are a lot of people probably contributing, there is this fear of, am I sure I'm doing the right thing? Am I making mistake? So let's talk from experience. I wanted to share with us if you had any fears during this period, or you faced some things that make you feel if you are doing the right thing, or question your contribution. And if yes, how were you able to like pass? Navigate this feeling. So I'll start with you, Shakira.
Okay, thanks, Omotola. So for me, my first fear was being overwhelmed. So I get to the contribution stage, and there is this long list of projects. So first off, I'm like, which project do I have to like? I panicked for I don't know how long. Like it was my heart pumping. I can't breathe. What is happening? I need to start contributions. All these different things were going through my head. But I knew, because I had listened to different sessions still on the Outreachy website, on Outreachy's YouTube, about the contribution stage, that the being overwhelmed is part of the process, but calm down slowly. So I called my sister to try and calm me down, which actually worked. And after I calmed down, that's when I started to look through the projects one by one. And after like reading through them and selecting my projects, so the anxiety went down. So that was my biggest fear, like the thing. And how I combated it was speaking to someone. And if anyone gets onto this stage, the contribution stage, and is overwhelmed and is like, I know Python, all these projects have Python. How do I choose the perfect project? You just have to calm down, take a deep breath, and start reading through the Python projects that you would like to select. But after taking that deep breath, yeah, that's the thing that I feared most during this period. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I'm going to pass over to Precious. Precious, I want to hear from you. How did you feel during your contribution stage? Any fears at all? And how were you able to like navigate it?
Well, like Shakira already mentioned, it's actually a very overwhelming time, right? But the best thing that is going to help you is to first of all be calm and make sure that you follow instructions, right? Because you end up doing a lot of things and you not do what is important. So, like she said, once you get to the point where you are calm, look for the projects. And personally, the way that worked for me was so I could contribute in code and I could contribute in no code. But you look for the projects and then you find one that is best suited for you, right? And sometimes people ask, oh, what if I'm not very vast in this skill, but I like the project and I want to contribute it? Sometimes interest is good enough. If you have interest and you know you can pick up the skills quickly, right? You can actually contribute to the project. So once you found out the project, I'll start from where Shakira stopped. Once you found the project you want to contribute to, the first thing is get into the community. Maybe you can use like a few hours to just see what the interaction is like. Then you find your guidelines and then read through. I keep saying this because it's very, I know that for me, I spent a few days worrying because I didn't know what to do when I could have just read the guidelines, right? When I started reading them, I was like, oh, I should have just read this at the beginning. Most of your answers are there. So once you find the project you want to contribute to, you find the guidelines and then you check. Obviously, you probably sample like maybe 2, 3, or 4. Check the one that seems more feasible for you to do, right? And then you start contributing. So some things that might happen is because of how overwhelming it is and it looks like there's a lot of people that are trying to get into the project, you might feel like it's a competition. And I want to actually answer that question on, did you collaborate in your community or not? First of all, it's not a competition, right? It's actually not. You need to stop feeling like other people are fighting with you for something. So contribute in the community. If somebody asks you for help, help them out. Actually, contributing in the community can actually help your mentors notice you more. And actually, open source is all about community. So once you actually get that part down, it helps you perform better in the space, right? So you need to like, it's not a competition. Contribute in the community, help people out as much as you can, and then also remember to ask for help too. So how to help allay your fears once you found the project you want to contribute to. Calm down, follow the guidelines, do what is expected of you. When you are done, then you can do extra contributions in the community. And then when you finish that, you should also learn to like take every day one step at a time. Right? There's something I was going to say, but I've forgotten it. If I remember it, I'm definitely going to say it. But yes, like I said, it's important for you to calm down and follow the guidelines. There's It's just easier. Oh, and then once you follow the guidelines, don't stress really. There's really not there's only very few things that you can do, right? To like affect what comes out. The point is that you do what's expected of you and you make sure that you put in your best. Whatever comes out, and you can try again another time, really.
Thank you so much for sharing, Precious. Just like Precious and Shakira mentioned, they have actually gone through, they've walked the walk. Let me put it that way. They understand, they actually felt it too. You might feel it if you are the type that probably you are so anxious or you are scared. You need to calm down. All the things you need, the steps you need to take, they are there in the contribution stage. All it will take you is to calm down. If you need to do like what Shakira did, to talk to someone, the person, in my own words, I'm going to say, someone to remind you of who you are, someone to like encourage you to keep going, that they are rooting for you. And then after you gone through that stage, go through the documentation of your selected projects. It has all the step by steps and everything that is required of you. If you have gone through it, you have taken the steps and you are stopped, ask question in this dedicated channel for Outreachy interns. If that is not enough, look for past interns who have contributed to this project before to get insights from them. Ask questions from the community coordinator or the dedicated mentor for the projects. This is something people have done in the past, and you can also do it. It starts with you. The confidence starts with you. You can do it. Believe in yourself that you can do it, and yes, you can do it. So I'm going to move over to Waji and John now. We've been talking about fears. Let's talk about that one time that you are faced with a challenge or challenges, if that is the case. Do you have any period where, yes, I've gotten this, yes, I've gone through the steps, yes, I'm there, I know I can do it. And at the point you feel like, what am I doing? I'm still here. Is there any time you faced that and what did you do? Let's start with John.
So I would say, in software development or in any open source project, most of the times you will be solving some sort of challenge, and it's a challenge with another challenge involved. I'll give an example. I When I was starting out with Backpack, I started with small small problems. So that would be my key advice to someone. Start with the small bugs or issues that are really simple to solve. My very first one was just changing documentation, and that is also a contribution. But you obviously, open source is all about growth. So when you leave that small phase, you come to the more challenging ones, the bigger issues, the more challenging ones that will require so much brain power. And I worked on an issue during the contribution phase that was really huge. I remember it was a new feature for Mozilla. And first of all, I had no idea how to start it. And my mentor also had somewhat an idea how to work on it. But we kept on that. I think the key solution to overcoming this was the communication. We started with a new idea, but then also we sort of formed a team together that would work on it. I asked him that I honestly don't know how to solve this, but what do you think about it? Then he gives me his input. So that communication was what helped us really find a way to get through this challenging time. And for a matter of fact, we didn't even finish that feature during the contribution period. We actually finished it when the internship had started. So it shows you that the challenge may span through, but communication is what will really solve it. Building a relationship with the mentor is the most important thing, I think, in outreach, because that's what will help drive the project forward. And your mentor will give you more ideas, more technologies. He's got experience. Some of these mentors have been contributing for years to open source. They know the project in and out. So I know some people may want to figure things out on their own, but if you face any challenge, it's usually important really to seek out for help in the community, not even the mentor. It could be someone else in the community, and also maybe you could ask a question, discussion. Here is, I remember most of before I even started contributing in Outreachy, the quickest challenge for the interns were adapting to the project. How do they start? That was the question. So we realized that we actually have to find a way for interns to get up and running with the project quickly. So we made this whole list of Q&As that we put on GitHub, and any intern who comes just starts off and they feel this confidence and ready to get through the project. We advise them on issues that they could start, which are small, that could help grow their confidence. And those are the ones we recommended them to start with. So, in summary, it would be start small, communicate, grow big, communicate, and solve. Thank you, Mutola.
Thank you so much, John. We are at the peak of the time now. So I'm just going to ask everyone this final question. And before I ask the final question, I just want to mention that this is going to be our last coffee chat for the application stage for the May 2024 internship cohort. But regardless, March 4th, that is when the contribution stage is going to start. All you need to do as someone who has already submitted their initial application is to check your Outreachy dashboard. You're going to see the status of your application there, and you're going to see the list. If you pass that stage, you're going to see the list of all the available projects. If you didn't pass that stage, it's okay. Outreachy will welcome you to come back, apply again, but you have to apply through the contribution stage. We have had past interns who have tried to get into the internship, not just once, they've tried twice, they tried the third time, and they were able to, at the end of the day, make it. We have had past applicants who from the application contribution stage didn't make it into the internship, but they have gone ahead to continue contributing to the open source ecosystem. They have gotten paid job. One of our past applicants wrote a book from all she learned during the contribution stage. The book is selling, and a lot of success story. Now some folks know more about open source softwares, tools. They've gained experience on how to communicate, which is even helping them in all other career future endeavors. So all what I'm trying to say is, regardless of what the status of the application is, please don't give up. You're welcome to try again. And whatever you have learned, all the learnings, this kind of chats that you've joined, insights that you've gathered together, you can pack them together and use it to even build and grow your career. So the last question, which I'm going to pass around the house now, the room now is any last word for the May 2024 applicants from your own decks? Let's start with Shakira.
Okay. So what I can say is you can do it. Just don't forget why you applied in the first place. It can get overwhelming, but giving up is not an option. Like, it shouldn't be an option in your vocabulary, because you might be the person that has stood out of like everyone, but because you have given up maybe at almost the end, then it won't work out because you gave up. Just stick through it. It might get complicated, but you can do it. Yeah.
I love that. You can do it, and it's worth it. Okay, let's pass on to Waji. Waji, what would you say? Any last word from you?
Okay, from my end, I would say that give it your very best shot in this contribution phase. Make your contribution stand out. As much as you want to do that, you shouldn't see your fellow, I don't know if it was Precious that said something at the end, you shouldn't see your fellow contributors as your competitors. They are your collaborators. And that's the actual essence of open source. So as much as you want to make your contribution stand out, don't hold your contribution, don't hide it. Make it stand out. At the same time, be willing to help your fellow contributors. Be willing to communicate publicly. That's one thing. Another thing is that pay attention to details. The Outreachy website is loaded with a lot of information, but some people tend to miss out on some on the internship opportunities because they missed out one or two details. As much as possible, comb that website. It's one way for you to reinforce what you already know. Another thing is one way for you to see some details or some pay attention to some certain details that you might not have seen as a result of oversight. So comb the website. Take your time also to select your project. As much as you want to hit the ground running, immediately the contribution phase starts. Take time to select project that aligns with your skill set and also what interests you. That's one. The last thing is, I'm an advocate of is what you believe in that will rule you. Believe that you'll get into the internship phase and then you definitely get it. But then that would have been after you've already put your best foot forward in the contribution phase. That's it.
Thank you so much, Wally, for that. That was really insightful. So let's pass on to John. John, do you have anything to tell us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. That's what I would like to start with. And my final are 4 tips. Well, the first one is start small and grow big on your contributions. At least that will build your confidence going on. And talk to the mentors, seek for help. Communication is a skill that is very key and important in open source. And this one is encompassing the applications and the contribution phase, as you had mentioned earlier, Omotola. So if you fail to get in, if it's either the application or the contribution phase, try again next cohort or you wait. But as you wait for that application, do not give up contributing on open source or say, I'll wait till next time. Continue, push through. You continue contributing to the project. It could even be the same project that's already there because maybe you're working on other things, but keep contributing, grow your skill because some of these projects come back, I think, year in or cohort in and out, and you will have valuable experience if you continue contributing, even if you fail. So keep doing this. I did this and it worked for me, and eventually you make it one day. And yeah, we look forward to welcoming you in the alumni. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, for that. Precious, over to you now.
All right, whatever I'm going to say, just going to echo what everybody else has said. First of all, let's calm down. It might be overwhelming. It might be confusing, but calm down. Like John said, start small, grow big. Learn to communicate, ask questions if you are stuck. Because actually, that's part of the ways that you could also calm down. Because when you speak to somebody else, then you might realize that, oh, what I think is a problem is not so much of an issue, and you get help. And then collaborate, right? You obviously meet people who have better knowledge than you do, and you might actually have more knowledge than people who are joining maybe for the first time. So as much as you can help out, and then also remember to ask for help. And really, you'll be fine. Give it your best, really, because I think that's something that is very comforting when you know that you give your best to something, regardless of how it turns out. So make sure you give your best when you are contributing, and then we hope it turns out well for you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Shakira. Thank you, John. Thank you, Waji. Thank you, Precious. And to our esteemed listener, thank you so much for tuning in. Not only that, thank you so much for asking questions, for engaging with each other in the comment section. I can see some applicants are actually answering the questions of another applicant. They are already contributing to open source. So thank you so much for applying to Outreachy. We are looking forward to welcoming you. On behalf of the Outreachy organizers, I want to say that we wish you all the best. We are looking forward to welcoming you into the contribution stage. Please don't give up. Build it open, communicate, and make good use of the community you have selected. And that will be all on today's episode of this coffee chat. Thank you so much, the guests. I know you're very busy, but you still find time to join us here. Thank you. We appreciate you. And bye bye, everyone.
Bye.